Okay, starting uh, with cells. Cells, you have 200 different types of cells in your body. Some are blood cells, some are muscle cells, some are kidney cells, liver cells, bone marrow cells. Um, you got your neurons, which is your brain and spinal cord. So basically, when a woman is inseminated and the sperm goes into the egg, you get what's called a cell cluster, and it turns into an embryo. And the embryo is split into three parts: the mesoderm, the ectoderm, and the endoderm. So the mesoderm is your skeletal system and muscular system. The endoderm is uh, it's kidneys. It's all the goopy stuff. So ectoderm is your spinal cord, brain, and nervous tissue, and so basically these three parts of the embryo become the human body. You've got, in between the embryo, you've got quite a few stages before the baby comes out, and it takes around about 9 months. So if you are pregnant and you fall ill or something like that, you can get a cesarean, or you can terminate. The reason why people terminate is because they have mental problems with either the man they're with or who they're with after it happens. They could have other issues, like the man wouldn't be able to look after the baby, or perhaps he would leave, or do 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 things to the baby that the woman wouldn't accept. So yeah. Going on to the cell itself, as I said, there's 200 different types of cells in the human body. So, but looking at cells and their cell division, which is mitosis or meiosis, which is a reproductive cell division. So basically, the cells do split in half, and they become what you call daughter cells, which is the cell separates, and it works into a situation where you have cells that program each other to do the same thing, and then they roll around, and they change. Some cells are quite small, like blood cells. You got red blood cells, white blood cells, and many types of white blood cells. They're 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 quite complex white blood cells because they feed the body a lot of nutrients and stuff like that. So if a woman is in dire need of help, and her white blood cells are low, well then this can hurt her whole anatomy. So getting to the point, I think that a refuge is a good place for a woman but not a man, because a man doesn't survive the way a woman does. So their situation in life is different, or it's a lot easier for them to survive because they don't have to deal with the everyday they don't have to deal with the same thing as men do, because men actually men create a lot of women's troubles, really. So yeah, so trying to think about things that people can do for women. So they need extra support than the police, because the police can't actually go and arrest every man that does something to a woman. So you know, I think it would be a brilliant idea to bring out the social effect and problem of dealing with what men do to women, because although it's known that men abuse women, it's hushed over, and it's actually wider spread than it should be, because most people have been abused in their life. This is true in psychiatry, because they say that there's a bloody lot of people who are mentally ill. So the reason why I'm talking about cells and psychology and psychiatry is because, well, we'll get to that point. They say that in every life there's a Buddhist direction. So they say that if somebody is evil to you, then you can't help yourself. So this is what's strange, because if you look at the way people treat each other, then cause and effect, which is Christianity, seems to take a parallel to the point, really. They say that heaven is free, and they say that Buddhists are wrong, but Buddhism doesn't say that Christianity is wrong. This is a very good theory that which is it's basically atheists. So the idea is that all religions are correct anyway. Atheists, free thinkers, and they might deny God purely because it's a man figure. And if you want to just say there's one man God thing ruling over us, well, it's not true. But it's true in the sense that there probably is a man God, but then you'd be looking at a woman God too. So it doesn't mention that. So I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that you can't deny, because it's not just a man world. And if God made you in His creation, there will be no women, and So the social effect about Christianity, which is informed that there is no Earth. Basically, it's somewhere where people live and they only look forward to what is in front of them. But the cell itself is in cycle, so are we. And you could actually put it down to the fact that if living beings have a cell cycle, then so does the Earth, and so do so it's like a cell on cell effect. Yeah. So if we have cells, maybe we're something to the Earth, and the Earth is something to something else, and life is a circle. So yeah, it's a simplistic view of it. Anyway, that brings the point back to psychology, or why people try to help people. Because some people are evil and try to help people. Some people are good and try to help people. And then you got women on the other hand who seem to be victims. That's the problem. See, women are victims. So it's hard to even say whether women are wrong, because they are treated so badly that they have to survive. It's like the survival of the fittest. Almost. It's like the autonomic sort of parasympathetic nonsense that goes on with a boy when he's born, and the whole survival and the threshold that they go through. So supposing you were picked on as a child and you had a few issues with that, then would you do something wrong, or would you perhaps try to behave better? I would say that abuse has different extents, because it's emotional and it depends on both parties to the extent that okay, so you've got like so you got the predator and the victim. The predator attacks the victim. If the victim is calm, cool and collected, then they're going to get some sort of mental psychosis. If they're agitated, they'll become manic. If they're excited, they'll become psycho. So yeah, and many other ways of looking at that, including schizophrenia, which is probably a bit more terrible for the person to understand. In America, there's a thing called the DSM, and it propagates that we all have mental problems, and that's through to abuse. So abuse is not only a mental problem, it has cause and effect as well. If you look at fright and flight, then there lays your problem really, because if you're being scheduled to live or work in society, and you have a way of getting around what happens to you. So it'd probably be for me. I got bashed up by my dad a bit when I was a kid and slightly molested, and for me, I just want to behave, but I don't always feel good because of it. So, and I have a mental illness, and if you're one of the people running and surviving, well, there comes the problem of religion. So, if you're one of the people, because the attacker's supposed to go to hell, and the behavior's supposed to go to heaven. So, I think we'd be looking at Earth as something different by now, and we would say that heaven might be a place in between life, hell also a place in between life. But if you look at people's schizophrenia, well, there's a bad reception thing there, and you have voices and stuff like that. So it's happening to both the predator and the survivor. So the victim is happening to both of them. So Earth is a balance, and it needs to be sorted out, and it needs to be done peacefully. Because we live in turmoil with violence, anger, suffering, depression. Yeah, I guess we really have to sort something out here. So there's a bunch of lizards that somehow got rid of all men lizards. Actually, there is. It's on the telly, and apparently they're all women, and they fake their sex so they can have babies. They literally fake it with each other. So yeah, that's pretty amazing because there's no sperm used or anything in that. So the ideal of religion not being true is sort of empty there, because it defies science, and I mean, you can still explain it scientifically, but it's all related anyway. So I would say that to get things working in society, you might have to cut out the bad bit. If you can cut out the bad bit, well then it should work. It should work if you cut out the bad bit. But I think they're trying to do it all the time, because there's people who produce themselves in life to help things, and they create something like maybe the police or something like that, and they're trying to quell change. But you might have to actually cut it out, because they're trying to. Society is trying to heal itself. It's just that it's like a cancer. Once your cancer has started, you need to cut it out. Yeah, because it's very hard to. It's a cancer. It's separate from you. And love is definitely what creation's about. Life is something sort of very special. And I guess history is very long, so it produces a lot of strange things. You could, as you say, we are confused in words and lies, because You got something like love that basically relates to the point of life. People think that's the point of life, but it's possibly what life is. So how the evil in the world came about, and that small amount of evil spreads like poison through the body. That's what cancer is. Your body is a signal of life, and so life itself is also a signal. You got you got the Rama dogma thing. I don't know. It's in the Indian words, but in between things is where things start, not on top of them or around them or through them or anything like that. So, the Big Bang Theory was actually a very brilliant explanation of how life works, because what you're doing is you're saying there was nothing there and then it exploded and it became something. That doesn't quite explain the exact quite. It does, but it's hard. You've got to find that space in between to understand it, and then you see why it's true. Yeah, so I guess going on to neuroscience, which this is it's all about what I'm talking about. It's all about women and men finding sacred love and stuff. So, because there is some really nice men around who won't hurt women, and that's very important. And neuroscience is another look at conscious thought. You've had religions, Buddhism, referendums. You could say you have a lot of revolutions that go on. They said the French started the revolution, and yeah, and then so they still have these revolutions. They like in the 60s, but it comes in and out all the time and around. You have the depression, the revolution, anyway. So neuroscience is another way of looking at consciousness, and that's looking at the fact that you have a neuron in your brain that signals you what to do. What they're trying to find out is what is consciousness to that actual effect. So most people would call consciousness themselves, but that's a bit of a lie, because that's not conscious, but there is an effect there. So you have an effect, but because you're not actually your brain, well, you are your brain. This is when neuroscience is used. It's quite complex, and the idea that you're not your brain, but you are your brain, and your brain works for you and thinks for you, or are you in your brain, or is your psyche your consciousness, or the whole Buddhist effect in a way. It's Buddha discovered a lot about Earth and signals, channels, waves. So yeah, neuroscience can be about meditation too. So plenty of meditation involved in science and thinking. So point being that well, if you have another point about man and what he does is he looks at things that this is male, so you have to accept that this is what male's been about, accepting that these things are wrong about yourself. They depict things as inferior to them, and they look at things in an inferior way. So you need to look at the core aspect of a man's thoughts, and if he can self-analyze himself, that's very good. but he doesn't, he can't get angry about it. Otherwise, he's wrong. Um, because religion, Buddha, Jesus, it's all supposed to bring peace. So Buddhism is a practice of enlightenment, and enlightenment, well, maybe if you become a Buddha, well then you'll obviously enlighten yourself enough to leave this world and find peace. Yeah, I feel that if you, I wanted to talk about, okay, so another effect of, so this is a man's perspective, it's not many men's perspective. So just say, because the male has a bigger brain than the female, they automatically conclude that they're smarter, but they won't even look at it in a simplistic view and say, well, an elephant has a huge brain, so what do you? You know, maybe the woman is smarter because she has a sleeker, fitter outlook to life. And if you left her alone, maybe she'd be smarter again and be able to help you understand life. Because a lot of people, the whole society is bullied on by men who overpower women and then go to work and say, well, this is a long time back around Aristotle's time, women are inferior to men. See, so what's driving this theory? The woman has to ask. And he will then make a complaint or look backwards into his eyes, like, oh, and then so women are slowly changing things anyway, and they do what they can. But looking at history, there's not many women in history compared to men, and that's changing. So that somehow the good stuff in life is winning very slowly, because people don't want women. I don't think it's wise to fight women anymore, because I think that if Satan fell from heaven and he is a devil, then if you, by the way you behave and all the commandments, if you don't perceive that you should go to hell, well, by this slow pace maybe you will. So I think it's a very good thing about Christianity is that they persist to be good. So that's very intelligent. People should start being good now. They need to revolt and obviously not to the monarchy, because they're already established as a free figurehead. So ways to help women when they're being downtrodden for a very long time. Bob Marley sings about slavery and being downtrodden. If you take a good look at what Bob Marley said and look at it like we've been downtrodden for 400 years. Fair enough, women have been downtrodden for longer than that. They have proof of men being raping and pillaging women thousands of years ago. You know, I mean, people understand the slavery thing and think that's bad. What about women, man? They don't even fight in wars until very recently. And is this another man trick? I think so. Maybe not. Maybe they're wiser than that, and they're doing the same thing, trying to help it along. Because man is very wrong, and you should have your aspects right. You need to look at it quite differently, as the woman is in charge and the man is not. And there is aspects in society and people who have done that, but it's not very obvious. Actually, there's Rastafari's nearly did it. They said the woman was special and above them and stuff like that. There's stuff like that. You already know about that stuff. But you need to turn it around. So you need to swap the situation around, because maybe a man, best aspect in violence is to protect somebody. But would it be fishing him out of the river with his extreme strength? See what I mean? They use their strength wrong and stuff. And there's Lemby, because women are extremely flexible and stuff like that. I think trying to relate science to what's going on with all this turbulence in the world, I think it's very hard to figure out what God is supposed to be. But because Jesus was a Jew, or rather he was an Israelite, there's a few different stories. And he was, the actual words, they tell you to look at the words right. So the actual words say that Jesus sacrificed himself on the cross for us. Well, he didn't put himself on the cross. The Jews did. This is where you gotta take a look at whether that was an attack against femininity, yes. Because once they put him on the cross and tried to kill him, he decided to sacrifice himself for us. So that's what the words say. But then Christianity is its own religion, and it does explain things properly. It's just that I think that there's a feminist problem there, but I think that's because of the hell aspect and the devil aspect and so forth. The devil did fall from heaven, and he does create and conquer the world in hate. So, what's a devil's man? Is there such thing as a devil's woman? Yeah, well, that's interesting. There's got to be evil here. There's got to be devil people and good people and stuff. I don't even like to use the word God because it's very unsure. The Jehovah's Witnesses have English words because I'm English, and they have English words for that mean superior and stuff like that, God and so why did the Christians use a short word like God? So, I think it's a bit pragmatic, but I think that we need to fall in love again. These are the people that I feel that there's some that are harmed by the evil, and that women are basically treated badly by the evil people and the affection and stuff like that. And then they go, they can't sin because they're pushed physically to be something. Like, you look at women in the 1960s, and sure, they're cute, or even back, in the 1930s, they're still quite pretty women. But they, for some reason, and I think this is to do with men again, they're becoming superior to men. They look like, there's so many, you walk down the street and women are beautiful, physically beautiful. Men, wow, they're not that beautiful. So I think that's the science of love. So I haven't had a girlfriend in 12 years. Yeah, just wrapping this up. As a sorry to women.